kinda had a feeling that, gee, it was like you couldn't this closer. It could have been because they had a big church in it. Greenhouse or what was it? Food weapon. Yes, they figured passing the kids and stuff. Because those rooms like that place there.
Yeah, but they want me there all the time.
No, hot, they just do this. Okay, wrong and all. Okay. Did you ever talk to Nora? Did you remember me doing that?
Yeah, yeah, she did. But she had told
We
me,
are up and
sure seemed to
Okay.
God first, I didn't know.
Yeah.
When, you know, and you told me. So then,
Good to be here this evening. And I guess we're all still safe. And nope, not at all. Good to see everyone coming on, and I'm not sure what's going on. To give me just a second, because it looks like maybe the Facebook one stopped.
I've got Facebook up.
Is it running?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I don't know why it was showing that it's not running there, but now it is.
Yeah, it's running.
Okay. Gave a few of them a chance to get on while I was fooling with it. Okay. So we've been discussing. Brother Allen is not with us tonight. He has his seasonal work with the outdoors that he has to be at, and he's running and managing that. And plus, he's a truant officer for the school system there in Preble County. So he's got a lot going on. He'll be with us. I believe he told me after today, starting this coming Sunday, he should be able to be here most of the time. Occasionally he can't make it on Friday, but he's got somebody who's running it for him. So we will get started and discussing the Aquarian Age. We've had two sessions where we discussed it, and today is open session. I don't have my phone next to me, but maybe a couple of people can just kind of watch and see if anything comes up that somebody wants to discuss. We are certainly here to do that. And if we can't discuss it for whatever reasons, we will look into it and come back. But I wanted to talk just a little bit this evening, and we can just have a discussion on it. We're built for this Aquarian Age. Many people are worried and they're saying all these things that are happening, terrible things taking place, all this, it's just no matter what field you go into, whether it's political, religious, economic, governmental, spirituality, on and on and on, there's a great amount of upheaval going on. And I always thought to myself, Stephen Hall said this to me, and I've thought of it also at times, and that is that the people always sang about it. People talked about the Aquarian Age coming. They couldn't wait to get into it. Love was going to steer the stars, all this. And I always thought to myself, when we really do hit the Aquarian Age, they might wish they hadn't sung so much about it. They might wish they hadn't thought so much about it, because of what it carries. It's an upheaval to everything before it. You just have to almost lay down everything before it and use all of it that you had spiritually in many ways, but you're going to have to come from a lot of different angles as you use it, and you cannot use it in the form and the format that you had it in. When it comes to the Piscean age, and you have that hierarchy, and many people they'll still try to use that hierarchy, even in this.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no vertical hierarchy. And I see people, and I'll say this right up front. That way, when I say things about other things, you'll know I'm not afraid to say it about myself too. A lot of people put me up there on a pedestal, way up there, and when Don Parnell says it, that's just it. And when the Aquarian Age really began to flow into the atmospheres, and the transition was over, which has been the last 40, 50 years, and the Aquarian Age really came in, these same people that had me on a pedestal, all of a sudden they say, we didn't know you were that way. We didn't see this side of you. We're disappointed in you. You know what's going on? That hierarchy that they had built in their head, this great man that I always thought was such a special man, he's just a man. And he's one of you. I'm one of you, and I'm living with you, and I'm acting with you. I get upset with you sometimes, and sometimes I have to, in order to make sure that you understand me, sometimes I have to say some pretty harsh things. And what that does is right away it takes you off of that pedestal. Well, I thought you were more humble than that. I thought you were, I didn't know you were so ignorant. I've never been so disappointed in you. I'm not sure that I can ever listen to you in the way that I have before. And I'm hearing all those things. And I made some moves that the Spirit told me to do. When I say the Spirit, my spirit. And these moves can sometimes affect your feelings and your emotions. But I'm here to do what the Spirit deals with me to do from here on out, whether I live another year or whether I live another 60. I'm going to do what the Spirit tells me to do. And you can just deal with that. You can. Once I say it, I'm like Isaiah. The Spirit told him to shave half his beard off, and when Isaiah was going to take his beard, and it was this, nice long beard, and he was going to cut half of it off, the Spirit said, no, that's not what I meant. I mean, shave half of your beard off. Leave half of it on one side of the face hanging down, and the other side shaved completely. That looks silly, didn't it? But then when all the people in Israel said how silly it looked, the Spirit spoke to Isaiah and said, tell them, thus saith the Lord, that's just how they look to me. They've only kept half of the covenant. They've only done this and they've only done that. So the Spirit has a lot of ways of dealing with you. I remember Ezekiel, the Spirit told him to go out to the gate of the city, Jerusalem, and lay down in the field and to gather clover, the leaves of the field, and cow dung, and mix the two together and eat them. Lay there on your side. And the people went in and out for 90 days. Think of that. It said lay on your one side 90 days and then lay on your other side 90 days. Eating clover and cow dung in front of the people. And him supposed to be, a to-do man in Israel, prophetic ministry. And they said, he's gone crazy. And the Holy Spirit then spoke and said, thus saith the Lord, this is the way you've done me. You've taken my commandments, the leaves and the things of the field and the great things, and you've mixed it with your creeds and your dogmas and your filth and the things that you want in there, and this is how you appear to me. So there's a lot of ways that the Spirit deals. And I will say this, the other day, the Spirit dealt with my heart to put something out, and I put it out, and I thought I could do it this way. I could write it in a way and say, how about this and this and this, and I was counseling in my mind. The heavenly counsels was going on, and I was counseling in my mind how to put it out, and I kept looking and thinking, and I thought, if I put it out this way, it's just going to be another email. It's just going to be another post. That's all it's going to be. This and it said, put it out this way. And I did. I put it out just the way the Spirit dealt with me to put it out. And when I did, wow, it broke out into pandemonium quite a bit. People that I hadn't heard from in years writing me. I'm glad to know they're still listening. Glad to know they're still watching. That I hadn't heard from, and I don't know when, saying, you need to be talked to about this. You need to, and so I thought, well, this is why the Spirit did this, because He wanted to dig into some real deep-seated feelings that people had, and you ain't going to get to them by putting out little, happy-go-lucky,
right.
Posts and everybody feeling good and everybody this and everybody that, and let's all love one another. Occasionally you gotta do that, and the Holy Spirit, my spirit in me, dealt with me to do it. And it's been 2 days. He said, now all of that is exposed, all of that is out there. Hopefully everybody that was a part of that will look inside to themselves, even those who didn't write. I added up between the 3 different emails, I think. There was about 1,700 likes and loves. And there was about 7 people that were pretty upset and writing things. And I thought, well, the majority understand the things that I was saying. And those that were I don't even want to say angry. They just had a totally different view than me, and were very aggressive about it. I hope that we can all, there are those of you that didn't write, but I know you felt a lot that way. I hope we can all now go inside and take a good look at ourselves and find out, like I said today, are we in the throne room, or did we step out of the throne room? In the throne room, I wrote something back here at the end, and then I'll start reading, but and we'll go to some scripture. The throne room, how many knows where the throne room's at? It's the highest form of intelligence. It's right here. It's in your mind. This is the throne room. The throne room is a collective mind of Christ in oneness. We enter that mind of the Spirit. We are manifesting in 3 realms. And you know what that is? Body, soul, and spirit. We're manifesting in 3 realms. And in the throne room, all those realms become one. The angels around the throne are crying, "Holy, holy, holy," bringing all actions, creations, circumstances, bring it all into harmony, and bringing it into oneness, into the purpose of one thing. When we work from the throne room, listen to me, when we work from the throne room, there are no prejudices, there's no racism, there's no inequalities, there's no privileges, or anything else that caters to separation, because that's all that caters to. Victim mentality. They got this and I don't. You remember how you used to do in school, play yards, when you got, so-and-so had more army men than you did, or whatever, I want what they got. I got a scooter and they got a bike, and I want a bike. And you know how it goes. All that goes on in people's minds, and grown-ups do the same thing. But in the throne room, there are no prejudices, racisms, inequalities, privileges, or anything else that caters to separation. If we keep our vibrations centered in the throne room, we will be a help in bringing harmony, love, compassion, resulting in a greater humanity. Keep your vibrations centered in the throne room. Now, this is what I, in my collective council, was going to write. I was going to write this and put it out 2 days ago, and my spirit said inside of me, that will not wake them up or get you any further. Write it this way. And when I did, and I talked about privileges, and I talked about racism, and I talked about all these things, boom, it just exploded. So, now that we all have had a lot to say, are you in the throne room? Are you willing to not run out here and try to say where somebody else is racist, but run inside and check yourself and see where you're racist. Run inside and check yourself and see where you're prejudiced. Run inside and check yourself and see all these things and bring yourself to a resolve and be the right vibration. So, as I was talking about, I counseled within myself. And I went back and I got to thinking about it, and I said, we prepared ourselves in the councils of the great Rainbow Spirit, in the Pillar of Fire, in the Theophany, in the Spoken Word. We were in every one of those. And we were counseling. We were heavenly councils. Not up there in the heavens. Our intelligence, our mind is a council. And we were counseling among ourselves and in ourselves in all of those forms of how to expose the humanity attribute that was laying in us. How do we expose it? How do we bring out humanity? And in that council, we counseled and figured out and thought about and stepped into the earth to bring out every attribute of humanity. And we counseled about how to deal with humanity and its goodness and its love and its compassion and its iniquity and all these things. So where do you think that council took place? Inside the mind. That's where it took place. The collective mind of the intelligence. And I'm going to say this. Don't get too upset. Every one of you chose where you're at.
That's right. Sure did.
Did you think you just come flying down here, jumped on horseback and went where you wanted to go? Every one of you chose where you're at. Don't get so despondent and so in despair when another career is out there in front of you that somebody else has that's better than yours, and you say to yourself, I want that. What? You chose where you're at. You know, we were in the heavenly councils. We chose where to be. Listen to me. We chose our skin color. We chose our eye color. Now, for me, I think that when humanity comes to the place it should be, skin color is not going to make any more difference than the color of your eyes. You know, we're gonna love one another. Period. But you chose skin for skin. You chose bone for bone. You chose your geographical place. You chose your space in eternity, your time. You chose all these things.
True.
So, in the middle of all that, all of a sudden you feel like this group of people, this career of people, these kids, when you were a little kid, these kids got more than you. They live in a better house. They live across the tracks. We're poor and they're rich. And you're coming through all of this, and you're discontent with almost everything you chose. That's why Paul makes the statement, be content. Be content. Contentment, Paul said, is great gain. And to not be content is one of the most uncomfortable places you could ever be. I couldn't imagine not being content. I'm going to tell you, when I was playing in the sandbox on Grove Street and I was 3 and 4 years old, I was content with what I had. I didn't care if somebody come with a bigger truck. I didn't care if they come with a better bicycle. I didn't care about any of those. I was happy, Sister Nora, with what I had. I was content. I played with paper bags and spoons and everything else. Made airplanes out of paper and just done everything you could possibly do to make yourself happy, content, and have a good time. And that's the way I was in life. I will tell you this. I come all the way through my career. I started working when I was about 10 years old. I got an old lawnmower off of my dad, and I said to him, can I use this to mow yards with? And he said yes. He got himself another lawnmower. And I went around the neighborhood and said, I'll mow your yard today. And they would say, okay, Donnie. You know, it's what they, okay, Donnie, you want to mow the yard? How much you want? And Sister Noel, I can remember I just kind of put my head down. I'd say, whatever you want to pay me, I'll do it. And some paid me $1, some paid me 50 cents, some paid me $1.50, some just whatever. Mm-hmm. I never one time said, I think you owe me 2. I think you owe me 3. You didn't pay me enough. I just did it. I had an old bicycle that I bought off my lawnmower and business, and started a paper business, and I can remember even sometimes some of the elderly ladies, old Sister Steele and old Miss Stanifer and several of them that was on the paper route, and they didn't have no money much. And you know, every time come time to collect, they couldn't pay. And I'd take the money out and I'd pay it myself because I knew that they couldn't. I was always content. When you get into a position of discontent, everything grows on you. Everything grows on you. That's all I know to say. Terrible things grow on you, and all the way into adulthood. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I got into my career. I don't know why I'm saying this, but I'm going to say it. I got into my career. And every year there would be, reviews. Mm-hmm. And you would be up for a raise. And I would go in, and I would hear where so-and-so got, 3% or 8%, or so-and-so got $5,000 bonus, and so-and-so got this and that. And I'd go in, it'd be my turn, And I'd go in and I'd sit down and they would go through all the things I'd done. And they said, "You're really excellent worker, great manager, and you've got the people trusting you. You've got all these things." And they always ask the question, "What do you think what you've done is worth?" And I know what most people do. Well, I think I ought to get a bonus. I think I ought to get at least 5%. I think I ought. And me, I said, just whatever you think it's worth giving me. That's where I'm at. And I never, ever one time walked out of an office without a raise. And I never, ever, while everybody sat around and complained about the raises they got, I never, ever complained. I was content. And I thought, to complain about these things would just put me in a whole nother playing field.
Yeah.
It would turn me into something I don't want to be. Mm-hmm. They had privileges sometimes I didn't have. They got promoted sometimes where I knew I should have been the one promoted. I never, ever one time went to anybody or said anything. I just determined in my heart to do what I needed to do. They said, "Well, we would have moved you up, but you all you've got's a high school education." So I said to myself, all right. So I started going to night school. I started doing all those things. I started doing online. I started doing everything else. I picked up a bachelor's degree in human resource management. And the next time they said something to me, I put the diploma out there. And, I got a bachelor's in human resource management. I got a associate's in behavioral science. I got an associate's in labor relations. And there wasn't a thing they could say to me about no education. I didn't get discontent or angry. I changed what I needed to change about myself so that it wasn't there anymore. And that's where people have such a hard time. They don't want to change things about themselves. They would rather go the road of malcontent. Mm-hmm. And I never done it. That's why I said in some of my statements, you want to get that, Patty? That's why I said in some of my statements that I wouldn't care. I couldn't see color. I couldn't see discrimination. I couldn't see those things. But then I got into HR management, and you know what I did? For 27 plants and an entire division, which they adopted what I did into all the other divisions, and that was I wrote up affirmative action programs, and I wrote up educational programs for those in the plant who wanted to be promoted, so that whole educational thing wasn't in their way anymore. Right. I do it, send them for their education, do all these things, and as I'd done all that, I kept on building bridges for people to make it across. And I built bridges to make sure that the minorities got hired properly. I built bridges to make sure that the programs were administered properly. I built discipline programs to make sure that it didn't just discipline the minority or this or that. I've done all those things and wrote contract after contract after contract. I've given myself, somebody told me this is a racist statement. If it is, I'm sorry. Take it for what I mean, not what I'm saying. I gave myself and most of my life and my ministry to minorities. Even when I was in the corporation, I'd done everything I could to set it up properly for minorities. And that's why I said a lot of times I could have took the victim mentality. I could have said, well, I'm a victim, and they use education as an excuse, and they won't do anything for me. And They just want to do it for this one. And I could have took all of those roads, but I will not, as a leader for you, as an individual person, I will not take the victim mentality and say, I'm a victim of this and this and this. I don't get what they got. I don't have what they have. And I've been victimized, and this is the reason why. I just won't take it. I just won't.
I agree.
I won't do it.
Won't either.
I thought you was gonna.
Well, there's the seed form of all of this that's growing around us. Right there. It's a victim mentality. I don't have this, somebody else does. This happened to me, somebody else did it to me. No matter what it is, whether it's religious, politics, finances, whatever it is, it all comes down to that. It's that discontentment.
Yes.
And because of that, it breeds other things inside your mind. That's where, in this playing field, demons are created, and they don't even know it. They don't even know what's going on. Those little voices about, well, I could use this, I deserve this, those are demons talking real subtle and soft that someday will be monsters in your head.
Yeah.
That's exactly what that is.
That's right. And the issue is you need to hold the vibrations coming from the throne room. All of these things that you see and all of these things that happen, they may actually happen. I'm not saying, I feel sorry for people if you've been under that kind of suppression. I feel sorry for you. I didn't let myself go there. If I was under that kind of suppression, I left and went somewhere else because I wasn't going to live under it. But from the throne room, if you will keep those vibrations coming out of that center point. Listen to this right here. In the councils, many times the things you set up in your life are challenges that now you're going to have to challenge yourself and see exactly where you're at and maybe expose some iniquities that we all have in us. I will tell you right now, every one of us have racism in us. Every one of us have prejudices in us. Every one of us have things that our mothers and fathers put in us that brings about jealousy and anger and hatred for different skin, different. My dad, he used to tell me, "What are you doing going over there to those Asian people? I killed those kind of people." He was in World War II. I fought against those kind of people. And now you're going over there and ministering and preaching to them? But I changed his heart because I kept the right vibration. And before my father passed away, he thought one of the greatest things I ever done was to go out and to deal with those people. So keep the right vibrations. Keep the right feelings in your heart. And don't let all of this discontentment seed up in you. That's why I said it's a myth. Because I'm going to tell you, it's only in your mind. If you allow it to grow in your mind, it will create a chain of circumstances and it'll make you look at it that way. And it'll be real to you. It'll be just real as real can be. But it's a myth. None of it had to happen. It's no different than flying away. I still talk to people today when I tell them about the rapture. Good Lord, they're going to fly away, Sister Nod. That's all there is to it. They are going to rapture out of their shoes. They're going to fly away, and it's a myth. But I'm telling you, it's real to them. They are living a life believing in it. They're walking in it and everything else. And that's what this Aquarian Age is about. And that's a lot of what I'm about, is tearing down those myths. Get out of those so you can be free. Let me read this. The councils. Where did the councils take place? The heavenly councils? Inside us. Job, the 2nd chapter. Job had gone through so many things. And again, there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord. And Satan came also among them to present himself before the Lord. And the Lord said unto Satan, where's this counsel going on? It's inside the mind, the collective mind, heavenly counsels. That's the heavens. That's the principalities and the powers. The Lord said to Satan, from whence comest thou? And Satan answered and said, from going up to and fro in the earth, from walking up and down in it, walking around in it, looking at everything, kind of counseling myself, saying, if this happened to me over here, could I handle it? If this happened over here, if I got into these circumstances, would I act the right way? Would I do the right thing? I don't know if I could take this if this happened. All those counsels going on in your mind. And the Lord said, where'd you come from? From walking in here, looking around. And the Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job, that there's none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that feareth God, and escheweth evil, and still he holdeth fast his integrity, although thou movest me against him to destroy him without cause. Did you hear that? Sometimes the Lord will move to destroy without cause.
Right.
And these counsels are going on, and Job is the one thinking about all this. And he's saying, hey, I made it through a lot of things. I lost this, I lost that, this happened to me, that happened to me. But I'm still standing. And have you considered that? I've done pretty good. I'm doing all right. I'm hanging in there. And Satan answered the Lord and said, yep, Job, you are doing pretty good. But if you take it skin for skin, all that a man hath, he'll give for his life. If I start taking everything that's yours, flesh and bone and everything else, yeah, you'll think twice. You won't be able to handle. And Job is thinking in his mind, I made it through all these things, but if I have to go through this, I don't know if I could do that. And you know what happens? You build challenges in your mind. You build a challenge that says, okay, now I got to prove that I can do that. Mm-hmm. I can make it through this circumstance. So Job says, Job says to the Lord, Job, have you considered the fact that if I start destroying him, destroy his body, I've destroyed everything that's around him, but what if I start destroying his body, put him in boils and take his flesh and bone, put diseases on it and do everything else? How do you think he's going to stand then? And Job's sitting in there counseling himself. I don't know if I could take that. Put forth thine hand now and touch his bone and his flesh, and he'll come curse you face to face. And the Lord said unto Satan, I'll take that challenge. Job set it up himself by the way he was thinking. That's why Paul was very quick to say, I can do all things in Christ Jesus. In my weakness I am made strong. Paul wasn't going to put himself into a position to where he was going to have to face all these challenges because he wandered, if his spirit and the Spirit of the Lord was enough to overcome. I don't wonder those things anymore. I know it's enough. I know what I have is enough to overcome. I know this freedom. I know this revelation. I know this understanding. And I am not... the Lord and Satan aren't even counseling on those issues with me anymore. Those are gone. But here Satan answered the Lord and said, skin for skin. The Lord said, okay, Satan, behold, he is thine, but save his life. So Satan went out from hell. Is that what it said? Satan went out from the presence of the Lord and began to do these things to Job. The Lord sent him. Brother Parnell, just be still sometimes. Think of the big picture. Pay attention to what's going on. It's an Aquarian age. It's going to be full of rebellion for a while. It's going to be full of changes. Piscean age and all the structure that you ever wanted is being torn down, done away with. You got Don Parnell on a pedestal. I promise you he's going to do something. You'll pull him off that pedestal. You'll do one of two things. You'll go find somebody else to stick up there for a while, or you'll deal with the problem in yourself. Because at some point, you've got to come to understanding that we're not having gods anymore. We're not having statues anymore. We're not having people on pedestals anymore. We're supposed to be friends, walking together in fellowship and helping one another and knowing that we all have strengths and weaknesses that we all need to pull together with. Mm-hmm. That's what this is about. So those of you that have wrote me this week and said I'm disappointed in you, it seems like that you get upset at anybody that comes against you, or now you've wrote me all kinds of things. Well, I'm glad I'm off of the pedestal now. Thank you. I'm a very happy man. I know when you wrote them, you thought you may be hurting me. You made me feel good to see that you have finally gotten me into the right position in your mind. Now, can you deal with me? Can you love me? Can you fellowship with me? Can you be friends with me? And can we walk together with our differences and love one another? Mm-hmm. That's the issue. That's what this is all about. And I'll just be honest. I ain't found very many people in the message that can do it. Nope. I'll just go to another church. I'll stop following Parnell and I'll follow Perry Green, or I'll follow Ed Biscoe. I'll go over here and follow Donnie Reagan. I'll do this, I'll do that. I'll just keep going. That move down there, that pedestal will be broken up. Move over there, that pedestal will be broken up. Just go on. Or sooner or later, will you settle down and realize? I had a person told me one day, said, I think that Brother so-and-so is the perfect place to go. I've been watching. I think it's the perfect place to go. I said, really? He said, yes. I said, then don't you go there or it won't be perfect anymore. And that's the truth. Because when you go somewhere that you think is so perfect, you're going to start seeing all the little intricacies of the people and all the little differences and all the little of this and all the little that. And before long, you're going to say, geesh, this is just like everywhere else. And then you say, ooh, I think this over here is the perfect place. And you'll go spoil that one. And then you go spoil the next one and the next one and the next one. Just go because you love people. Go because you want to fellowship with people. Go because you want to understand. Go because you want to grow and understand one another in fellowship with one another. So here we see this. Now, Job sent out the presence of the Lord to set all the circumstances up around him to prove to him that he's an overcomer. I've done some of that this week. On purpose, from the presence of the Lord, put out some things that I knew were controversial to see how far we had come. And we have come a long way. We got a lot more to go. We got a lot more to go. The councils that go on, we're in the Aquarian Age. 2 Kings 22 and 10. After Elijah was gone, here we are in an age after Elijah is gone, and after Elisha is gone off the scene, 22 and 10, the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, Ahab and Jehoshaphat, sat each on his throne, having put on their robes in a void place in the entrance of the gate of Samaria, and all the prophets prophesied before them. You know what they were getting ready to do. They were getting ready to go up to a big battle against Syria. And Ahab had won 2 battles, and it looked real good for him. You know, it looked like the Lord was blessing him. And so he wanted to go get some land back that was Israel's. Everything he wanted to do looked like it was the best thing to do. And so Jehoshaphat got Zedekiah and the prophets, and they all came out, and they put horns on their head, and they shouted, go up, O Israel, Jehoshaphat, go, and the Lord is with you. And all the prophets prophesied, saying, go up to Ramoth Gilead and prosper, for the Lord will deliver you into the king's hands. And the messenger that was gone to call Micaiah spake unto him. So now here's the counsels of Micaiah. Micaiah starts thinking. A messenger says to Micaiah, hey, Jehoshaphat wants to know if there's any other messengers. I know you're down here in the prison house, but he wants to know if there's any other messengers that will prophesy. And we said we had you, and everybody's already prophesied it's going to be a great victory. So Micaiah, you need to go up there, keep your mouth shut, stay in line with all the rest of the prophets. Away goes the counsel, the heavenly counsels of Micaiah. Let's see. You know, I remember Elijah said this. I remember Elisha said that. I remember, and he just starts, the counsels begin to flood in. And all of a sudden, Micaiah, he goes up there before Ahab and Jehoshaphat, and he says, as the Lord liveth, go up. You got the victory. And when he spoke, the king said unto him, hey, Micaiah, shall we go? He said, go. Prosper, for the Lord shall deliver it into the hand of the king. And the king said unto him, Jehoshaphat, how many times shall I adjure thee that thou tell me nothing but that which is true in the name of the Lord? Now Micaiah's got a different story to tell. He's been asked to talk about the counsels within his mind. He said, I saw all Israel scattered abroad the hills, as sheep that don't have a shepherd. And the Lord said, these have no master. Let them return every man to his house in peace. And the king of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, did not I tell thee that he would prophesy no good? And he said, hear thou therefore the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord. Micaiah looked into heavenly counsels. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne, and all the host of heaven standing by him on his right hand and on his left. And the Lord said, who shall persuade Ahab that he may go up and fall at the Ramoth Gilead? And one said on this manner, and another said on that manner. And there came forth a spirit and stood before the Lord and said, I'll persuade him. A spirit from the Lord stands before the Lord and says, I'll persuade him. And the Lord said, wherewith? This is all going on in Micaiah's mind. The Lord said, wherewith? And he said, I will go forth, and oh my, I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And he said, thou shalt persuade him and prevail also. Go forth and do so. Here's Micah telling the kings, both of them, I saw a lying spirit from the Lord enter into the mouths of every one of your prophets. It wasn't the devil sent it. There's no devil, no Satan did this and that. I saw the Spirit of the Lord come here and got into your mouths and lied. Now therefore, behold, the Lord hath put a lying spirit in the mouth of all these thy prophets, and the Lord hath spoken evil concerning thee. Zedekiah went, smote Micaiah on the cheek, and said, which way went the Spirit of the Lord from me to speak to thee? And Micaiah said, behold, you'll know which way it went when you're in the cell down there eating bread. And the king of Israel said, take Micaiah and carry him back unto Ammon and the governor of the city, and to Joash the king's son. Take him back there. All this counsel went on. Where did all that go on? Micaiah was rolling it around in his head and seeing exactly what took place, and how that we sat in heavenly counsel and directed the Spirit of the Lord and to go out from the presence of the Lord and lie to the people. Someone said, Brother Parnell, where does that happen? Are you listening to the media? Are you listening to the cable news? Are you listening to the Republicans? Are you listening to the Democrats? Are you listening to all of them? They're all, it's the Spirit of the Lord with lies in their mouth to bring about a change, and for the kings to be brought down and the pedestal of the Piscean age to be brought down. Yes. There's lying spirits in the mouths of everybody going everywhere and bringing down the old kingdom, so a new kingdom can be set up where the children, like Micaiah said, can go home and live in peace. Mm-hmm. And we're watching it happen. Someone said to me, Brother Parnell, the media is doing their jobs and you're making them look bad. God bless them. Lord bless them. Whoever bless them. Let those lying spirits keep coming, because it's deceiving the people and it's toppling the governments. It's toppling the Piscean age. It's toppling the hierarchies. It's tearing everything down. It's doing everything it's supposed to do. Yes, they're doing their jobs. They are theophanies, great theophanies that were sent here to lie. Mm-hmm. And they're doing an excellent job of it. How y'all feel? I don't see too many, I see a few hearts going up. I haven't seen too much.
Not everybody loves it.
It's our age. You are not to do that. But there's people that are to do that. It's your place to stay in the throne room. It's your place to keep these vibrations of love and peace and compassion and empathy alive. It's your place to rest in the seventh seal. It's your place to be the relaxing person that everybody can be around. It's your place that these people can feel good about being around you, while all of this is toppling everywhere, so that when the kings are laying out in the fields of the church ages dead, the children of Israel can go home in peace. Mm-hmm. We can go home into a new age and enjoy what we have. It's going on all around us. Am I crazy? Anybody have anything to say much?
Not much. They're just kind of, a lot of them are actually agreeing.
Great.
Yeah.
I'd get upset if you didn't agree with me.
Yeah.
I don't care what you believe politically. I don't care what you believe religiously or spiritually. I don't care. I'm just speaking to you from the Spirit, and you take it for what it's worth.
Most of the ones that disagree with you are watching CNN or something like that right now, so you don't have to worry about that.
Take it or leave it.
Okay. I think we've got the picture, but I do want to use at least one more example. Jesus was giving a parable out in Matthew the 20th chapter. And he said, there was a good man of the house who had some work to be done. And he went out in the first hour and gathered as many as he could and said, I will pay you a penny to do this work. And so the first hour of the day, several of them went in to do the work for the day and get a penny. So in the 6th hour, he went back out and told them the same thing because he didn't have enough workers. And in the 9th hour, he went back out and told them the same thing because he didn't have enough workers, and he got more workers to come in, and I'll pay you a penny, and I'll pay you a penny. And then at the 11th hour, he went out and found others standing idle because his work wasn't getting done. The good man in the house wanted the work to be done. So at the 11th hour, how many knows what hour we're in? We're in the 11th house. We're in the 11th hour. That's our day. In the 11th hour, he went out and found others standing idle, and said unto them, Why stand ye here all day idle? They said unto him, Because no man hath hired us. He said unto them, Go ye also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right, that shall ye receive. And all the 11th hour workers, a mass movement came, and there went all the 11th hour workers, and they all went out there and finished the job, got the job done. The 11th hour workers got the job done. They moved into Aquarius. They done all the things they were supposed to do. And so he goes on to say, Now when evening was come, the Lord of the vineyard saith unto his steward, Call in all the laborers. Bring them all in from the 1st hour to the 11th hour. Everybody that I hire, bring them all in and give them their hire, beginning from the last unto the first. And when they came, they were hired about the 11th hour. They that were hired about the 11th hour received every man a penny. But when the first came, they supposed that they should have received more. And they likewise received every man a penny. That ain't right. They worked. All the labor was on their backs. These 11th hour people coming in here. But when the first came, they thought they should receive more. And they likewise received even a penny. And when they had received it, they murmured against the good man of the house. You chose to come here in the 1st hour, the 2nd hour, the 5th hour, the 6th, the 8th, the 10th, the 11th. You made your choice. You made your choice how long you wanted to work. You made your choice how you wanted to be here. You made the choice of the geographical areas you wanted to be in. You made all those choices. And you got exactly what the good man told you you would get. You counsel within yourself. And you said, that's what I'd like to do. Mm-hmm. And they murmured, saying, These last have wrought but 1 hour, and thou hast made them equal unto us, which have borne the burden and the labor and the heat of the day. Well, I've seen that come up a lot in the last few days. Mm-hmm. You know, this group over here, they did this and this and this on the backs of me and us and them, and we all came here. Do you know what William Branham said? He said the gospel rode from the east to the west, and had it not been for those groups of people that came through from Israel into Greece and into all those places, and on over into the Romanians and on into the Italians and all through the Europeans and up into Germany and across into England and across into America, had it not traveled from the east to the west with those groups of people, the gospel wouldn't have went anywhere.
That's right.
And it was the Lord that did it. And now here we are in the 11th hour, and people are wrought. They're discontent. In this message of total freedom, total love divine, I'm not saying you can't be. You can be in the throne room and leave it. And step out there and get yourself all tangled. It can happen. I've done it. I'm talking from experience. You get out there and you get looking around, you get yourself all tangled up. You know how you get yourself untangled? Get back in the throne room where you belong.
Yep.
Because from the throne room, there are no prejudices, there are no angers, there are no jealousies, there are no privileges, there's no racism. All those things are outside the throne room. How do you view it? How do you see it? If you see all those things and it's causing discontent in you, you're not standing in the throne room. Get in the throne room. You'll still see those things, and you will work your way through them and resolve them in your heart and keep moving right on and say, I am content with everything that has happened to me, and I am content with what I have, and if I need more, the opportunity will rise. It'll show up because I'm going to work my way into it. I'm going to do the things that need to happen. Be content. They murmured, these have wrought and for 1 hour, and you've made them equal to us. You've leveled the playing field. You've removed the hierarchy. We got seniority, which have borne the burden and the heat of the day. But he answered one of them and said, friend. See, that's right now. It hadn't been a month ago. I told you we moved out of brotherhood. We moved out of all those things. We moved into friendship. And here he is in the 11th hour. And those that are murmuring and complaining, they're not out there. They're in here. Murmuring and complaining. Friends, our friends and our loved ones have iniquities, and I do too, that we need to dissolve and resolve in our hearts. Friend, I did thee no wrong, the good man of the house. I did thee no wrong. Didst thou agree with me for a penny? Take that's thine and go thy way. I will give unto this last, even as unto the first. That's my decision. Back in the heavenly councils, we decided those things. And we came here to fulfill those things. So be content. Don't step out into discontentment. You'll only oil your path. You'll make it slick. You'll make it hard. You'll make your path a hard way to walk. Is it not lawful for me to do what I will with mine own? Is your eye evil because I'm good? You see how he's taking everything and basing it on good and evil? When you get into discontentment, that's what you see.
Yep.
You see good and evil. You see iniquity and righteousness. I told one of the brothers, he said, when I go into the throne room, I see all these things, the iniquities and the hatred and the jealousy and all these things, but I deal with it in the throne room. And I said, he said, we know it is all Christ. Every bit of it is Christ. And I said, you are exactly right. Every bit of it is Christ. But I said, our languages that we've set up all over the world, wherever you might be and whatever language you're in, we set our language up on two trees. On good and bad, poor and rich. We set all of our languages, English and German and Russian and Chinese, and they're all set up off the same tree, the tree of good and evil. So when we start talking about it's only one spirit doing it all, and we get into the whole side of the language there that's ugly, we don't like that. We don't know how to say that's Christ. We don't know how to say that is the love the tender-handing love of God, the tender-handing love of the Spirit that slaughtered 6 million Jews so they would move back to their homeland, the tender-handing love of the Spirit that moved across the earth in the gospel and laid away 110 million Native Americans. The tender, loving hands of God is in all of it. It's hard. It's ugly. We don't know how to say it. But it is the truth. And to become discontent and say, this race of people, for me, there's only one race of people. There's not whites and Africans and Caucasians and Native Americans and Asians. There's not all those things. It's one race of people. But what we do is we start, because of the discontentment, we start getting into all kinds of separation. They got this. United States was set up on a Constitution and a Bill of Rights and a Declaration of Independence that is skewed for racism, skewed to the white. And I would have to say that it's probably the closest set of rule of law to be for everybody that there could possibly be. But I will agree it's skewed somewhat to the race or to the color of people that were here at the time. But if I move into Africa, it's going to be that way for me. When I move into the blacks, it's going to be skewed to you. And if I move into the Philippines or into Asia, it's going to be skewed to the brown. And because I'm a white, it's going to be a little hard for me to fall into the culture and the way that you live. That's just all there is to it. So now we're all having to deal with this. Go to the throne room. Don't get angry. Don't get full of protest. Don't get full of those things. Go to the throne room and send your vibrations out for the change that is needed. Peaceful, loving, understanding change, and let it move itself out there and make the changes that need to be made. Your vibration is greater entering into your throne room, thinking about things and keeping your heart and your mind peaceful. It sends a much greater vibration than going out there with a ball bat or going out there with a gun or going out there and standing there with a sign and trying to get everybody. Your vibration is going to do the whole world much better if you just stay inside the throne room and send out those vibrations. So we see that. And then Jesus makes a statement. The good man of the house says, "So the last shall be first, and the first shall be last. For many called, but few are chosen." All he's saying is everybody's in it together. And the hierarchy of first and last is going to be torn down. Nobody's first and nobody's last. We're in this together. We're walking together. We're not in a hierarchy, a vertical system of first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, and 12th. We're not in that. We're in a horizontal field, and everybody is working together. That's what this is about. The Aquarian Age is bringing us to that. And it's hard because we've labored a lot longer than anybody else in this message. We've labored. I've labored in this message from the time I was a 10-year-old boy, not only physically but spiritually, reading books, going to meetings, labored very hard to understand things. But I've got enough sense to know that these 11th hour workers that are just now coming in, that they are not going to get their revelation off the labor of my back.
Nope.
And all that I am, and all of my great glory, and all of my labor, and all these things. They're not going to get their revelation off the sweat of my back. They are going to get the revelation from the inside of their heart in their throne room. And if there's any way I can help them, I will. But I'm not your master, I am not your, quote, hierarchy. I'm not there, and I won't let it be there. Romans 9:14. Before I go any further, is there anything on those parables? Anybody have you want to? Are we understanding what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Am I going too far?
You ain't gone far enough.
Am I going to a place that you don't feel comfortable anymore? Please tell me if I am. If I'm making you uncomfortable, I'm happy.
Yep. You get out of your comfort zone.
Get out of that comfort zone. Start thinking about what's inside you. I'm thinking about what's inside me right while I'm talking. The counsels of Paul, the heavenly counsels. What shall we say then? Is there unrighteousness with God? God forbid. For he saith to Moses, 9th chapter, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy. I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. So then it is not of him that willeth, nor of him that runneth. It's not him who done all the labor. It's not him who's trying to write the books and become a book conqueror and run around everywhere and get everybody to submit. It's not in him that willeth, nor in him that runneth, but of the Spirit that showeth mercy. For the Scripture saith unto Pharaoh, even for this same purpose have I raised thee up, that I might show my power in thee. The power of Christ shown in Pharaoh. Well, I thought that was the devil. The power of Christ shown in Pharaoh, that my name might be declared throughout all the earth. Pharaoh was such a magnificent angel, such a great human in humanity, that the Lord moved all of his power in him to raise Israel up and to show his power all over the earth. What a mighty man. I can't wait to sit down with Pharaoh and talk about it. About his part of the play. And Judas. Yeah. And Martin Luther King. I've always wanted to... You know, Brother Branham made that statement in his message, the third Exodus. He said, I'd like to talk to that young man. Martin Luther King was a young man then. He said, I would like to talk to that young man. I would too. I would like to just go into how he felt and the things he did to make what happened happen. Because he made some really great moves. Somebody wrote the other day, said he was a regular thug. And I thought, well, that's what they thought in his day. That's what they thought. But when I go back and study all the good that he did, no, he wasn't. He was a good man. Mm-hmm. Things got out of control, and he lost control of it. It got too big for him. That's why I don't want on those pedestals. I don't want on them. Things get too big. It gets too nasty. Mm-hmm. So here we see Pharaoh. Therefore hath he mercy on whom he shall have mercy, and whom he will, he hardeneth. So I'm not upset at you for being hardened. Many of you are showing the contrast in the age and what's going on. And you're mighty people, you're wonderful people, you're excellent people. You need to deal with some of the things on the inside of you. So we see this. Thou wilt say then unto me, why doth he yet find fault? For who hath resisted his will? In other words, can you find fault in Pharaoh? If he was doing the will of his master, You're not his master. You're not the one he has to answer to. If he was doing the will of his master, he answers to his master. And it looks like the answer to his master was, Pharaoh, job well done. Great, powerful display in the earth. You've done it great. In all of your supremacy, in all of your privilege, in all of everything that you put out there was exactly what needed to go out there. To prove to all the earth how great you are and how easy it is for the Spirit to humble even those in contrast. O man, who art thou that repliest against God? Who are you that rebel against the Spirit? Shall the thing formed say to him that formed it, Why hast thou made me thus? Why do I have red skin? That's my nativity background. Why do I have red skin and you have black? I want black skin. Who am I to? I mean, beautiful brown skin. You don't have to use tanning lotion, do you?
No.
No.
That's what a privilege.
Lay in the sun.
Yeah, you don't have to lay in the sun. You don't have to do any of that. That ain't fair. That just ain't fair.
Skin cancer.
Who art thou that repliest against the Spirit? You made me this way. Why hast thou made me thus? Do you realize that you were the potter? You were the potter.
Yep.
And when you become the clay, you get upset at yourself for the way you made yourself.
That's silly.
Get upset for the geographical area you chose to be in, for the skin you chose to be in, for the circumstances you chose to be in. Now I'm upset. If I knew it was like this, I wouldn't have done this. Discontentment causes great folly. Who are you that replies against? Hath not the potter power over the clay of the same lump to make one vessel, and unto honor and another unto dishonor? What if God, willing to show his wrath and to make his power known, endured with much long-suffering the vessels of wrath fitted for destruction? He made some people to be destroyed. Doesn't mean they went out of existence. They were just destroyed, changed, broken down. And that he might make known the riches of his glory on the vessels of mercy. So in one group of people, whoever that might be, he brings forth the beautiful vessels of glory and honor and floods them with riches and power and everything else. And on the other, they don't have those things. So these vessels of dishonor, vessels of poor, discontent, they get angry and mad because they were made this way at this group over here. That's something, I used to go in very quickly. I used to go in and I was a union steward. I was a union president. And, like for instance, say a maintenance group got an adjustment. Well, when the maintenance group gets an adjustment, well, the machine group gets mad. They got $1 an hour, and I'm over here doing all this work. And if I don't do this over here, they ain't gonna have nothing to do. So I ought to get an adjustment too. And here the machine group will come running to me, the union president, and they'd say, they got $1.50 adjustment, and we want an adjustment too. I said, okay, bring to me all of your documentation of more responsibility and more work that's been put upon you. What? I said, I can't walk in there to the company and just say so-and-so department got $1.50, and now these over here want $1.50, so by George, you better give them $1.50 too. I proved that the maintenance group got more responsibility put on them, more machines put on them, more work put on them, less men to do it with. I proved all these things, and they got an adjustment. Now you hand me the same proof that they gave me, and we'll talk about it. No proof comes. It's just discontentment. That one group got honored and another group didn't. Have we got the message? Do we understand? The Aquarian Age exposes all this iniquity, not out there, but in here. All this iniquity rolling around in your head. Even us whom he hath called, not of the Jews only, but also of the Gentiles. And he saith also in Hosea, I will call them my people, which were not my people, and her beloved, which was not beloved. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, Ye are not my people, they shall be called the children of the living God. Do you understand that every one of us are under the graces of the Spirit? To think that we were a people that they called heathens and ungodly and godless and barbarians, and we are carrying the glory and the message and the spirit of the hour? What a blessing. I'm content. I'm enjoying it. Are you content?
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
very content.
You look content.
I'm very content.
Yep, sure enough.
You content, Sister Norad?
Yes, I'll cover.
You have had some real challenges over the last few years. And I see a smile on your face. I see you going around to people, being yourself. At 80-some years old, going 2 hours away to fellowship with people and everything. I see you with a character full of contentment. I know when you sit there at night and you're in that house all by yourself, it's not an easy situation. You cry. Sometimes you cry yourself to sleep. There's a lot that I know goes with everything that's happened to you. But stay content. Homer's right there close. He's right there close. We have built for this age, and in the councils of heaven, we prepared ourselves for the attributes of this Aquarian age. We prepared ourselves, knowing we would enter this portal into the earth, that the Aquarian influence would be all around us and in us. We have every attribute in us to overcome the iniquity of the Aquarian age. The character. And we have everything in us to stabilize a good humanitarian system and government and love, compassion, and empathy right inside us. And don't let all of these other things grab that out of you. Don't let it pull you from the throne room. I've had that happen to me. And I start feeling that yucky feeling. Like, man, I'm getting all tangled up in junk that I don't need to be tangled up in. And I make an about face and I head back to that little room where I want to be content and loving as much as I can. We are removing the myths, the belief systems, the religions, the political and governmental hierarchies. We're flattening the curve. We're lowering it down. As we remove them, there will be struggles, unfairness. We'll look at it and say that's unfair. You know what you should do when you feel like it's unfair? Get your tail into the throne room and say, all of these things are holy, 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 and it will all be worked out And I don't like it. I don't like the way it looks. I don't like what it's producing. But I've got to send out a vibration that will overcome that and move right on out. And my vibration will move past that and fill the earth with good things rather than angry. We see unfairness and struggles, temporary separation, group causes. This group says we've got a cause that's got to be addressed. And this group says we got a cause that law enforcement's got to be addressed. White privilege has got to be addressed. Prejudice has got to be addressed. Criminalism has got to be addressed. And we got all these fighting and fighting and fighting. Pedophiles have got to be addressed. One of the most horrible things to me in the world is a pedophile. I think they just need to be in another world. But I know that I've got to resolve that by keeping a vibration that will override that and make that vibration disappear at some point. And it won't even be a part of this life. That's what we have to do. We feel these vibrations and we get into these ruts of causes and groups and movements and all kinds of things. We get dissatisfied with what the Spirit has given us. We get discouraged when someone has more than us. We argue with the Spirit, saying we are the ones doing the labor, and why do they receive the same as us? Why can't we be equal? Go to the throne room. Find your content place. Contentment is great gain. Send the vibration out that will equalize all those things. It will. We talk to ourselves and we test ourselves to see how far we have come in our understanding. Like Job said, skin for skin. And all of a sudden, we're in circumstances and we got to be tested. Because you said, if this happened, I don't think I could take it. So boom. Away it goes, and it's going to happen.
It's gonna happen.
Because your spirit is going to prove that it can overcome everything through Christ. We wonder how a people who weren't even in the making of this great understanding can walk into it so easy. They didn't put any of the labor in. They didn't hardly do a thing. And when you talk to them, it's just like, daggone, how did they see that? I had somebody in here, we were eating the other day, and he don't know a thing about anything we're teaching, and we weren't 10 minutes into the discussion, and he looked at us and said, this is amazing, where do you get this from? And he started talking about it and giving us things that we hadn't said before. How do they get into this so easy? Don't get discontent. It's their privilege. They've been built for it. How do they get into this? And those who were not children of God are being called the children of God. What do you mean the whole world, Brother Parnell? They're filthy, they're ungodly, they're no good, they're this, they're that. They kill, they maim, they slaughter, they lie, they steal, and you're calling them children of God. Don't get so discontent. You've seen where the Spirit of the Lord sent a whole group of men under a lying spirit that came right out from Him. They're out there doing their part. Why didn't I receive more? Why was I made this way? Why do I have to bear on my back the things another skin is enjoying? If you come into the collective understanding and the mind of the Lord, it's not another skin. It is you enjoying it. You're eternal. Do you think you're not going to get it someday? Do we forget about eternity? That we're going to come through these cycles time and time again and we're going to receive great things from it? Maybe not this time, but we will. This is the age of resolution. They are destroying one another over these questions that I brought up today. Why can't I have? Why is this group this way? Why did they get so much and we got nothing? Why? On and on and on. The clay crying out to the potter. This is the age of resolution. They are destroying one another over these questions out here. That's what the protest is all about. What is the answer? The seventh seal is opened. The throne room door is wide open. And all you have to do is walk into it. It will change your views. It will change your vibrations. It's the collective mind of Christ. Let this mind be in you. The throne room is a collective mind of Christ in oneness. We are manifesting in three realms, and in the throne room, all these realms become one. The angels around the throne cried, "Holy, holy, holy," bringing all actions, creations, and circumstances into harmony and oneness. It's coming into harmony and oneness. Keep the right vibration and bring it here much quicker. When we work from the throne room, there are no prejudices, no racism, inequality, privileges, or anything else that caters to separation. If we keep our vibration centered in the throne room, we will be a help in bringing harmony, love, and compassion, resulting in a greater humanity, resulting in a greater Christ in the world. Keeping our mind on the core of the matter, our vibration, our emotions, our reaction is the issue. What vibes are you going to send out? Keep our vibration, our instincts, and our intuition based in love, compassion, and empathy. Using the created languages in the highest levels of its frequencies, positioning our thoughts with love and grace are the key issues to being a help in this age of Aquarius. When you get angry, when you get upset, when you physically go out there with signs and ball bats and guns and everything else, you are not going out there from the throne room. And when you spiritually go out there with all of those weapons on you to start going after groups of people and causes and fighting and fussing and spewing, you're not thinking from the throne room. Where's your vibration? Focus on it. Focus on love, compassion, empathy. Focus on what's supposed to come about in this Aquarian age, and that is a greater humanitarian government. And let it move itself peacefully to that. It will happen. And if there's protests, let them protest. If there is tyranny, you keep your heart right, and it'll override all that tyranny. It'll override all of that anger, all of that killing and protest. And when all of those vibrations get covered up, what will they be covered up with? Our vibration from the throne room of love, peace, empathy, long-suffering, and bringing on a greater humanitarian world. That's what this is about. If you think that I didn't display that over the last couple of days, forgive me. I did what I did purposely to jack up some things, to pull out some things that I seen in writings. And I said, I can sit here all day and just write some nice little things, and there'll be none of this iniquity that's sithering and simmering in all of us. None of it will be dealt with. Now we're dealing with it. So if I was too harsh for you, I'm sorry. But it will probably happen again. I think I seen something who was it, Val Kilmer, in Tombstone. There was a poster of him as Doc Holliday, and he said, "For those of you that I haven't offended yet, just be still. I'll get you in a little while." So, if I haven't yet offended you, just be still. I'll get there. Because in working with these things, like I told one man, I didn't ask for this gift, and I didn't ask for this leadership, and I've tried to give it away many times. And it just always comes back to me. Somebody goes their way this way, somebody goes their way that way, somebody gets mad. I say, it's yours. Here, you do it. I try to give it away, and nobody wants it. So I guess I'll just sit here, and I'll be the lightning rod that when all the thundering starts, the lightning goes straight to the lightning rod and strikes it. I'll take all the strikes, and I will try my best to be humane and keep moving us forward. Be your brother.
Nobody wants your gift because that gift belongs to you, and nobody can take it away from you. That's my thinking. And it's wonderful. I love it.
Yeah. Many have tried. They can have it. I would love to sit here in this little house and just grow old and enjoy it. Watch the birds and feed them. I'd love to do all that. But something's churning on the inside, and it says, what's next? What's next? Mm-hmm. I didn't want to set the live broadcast back up. Something inside me said, you got to do it. I didn't want to say these things. Something in me said, you got to do it. Finally, it took me to the bed, and it almost killed me. And I said to myself, if I can get out of this, I started talking to my body. Let's get out of this together. I will do what I'm supposed to do. If we can get healthy together again, I will do it. I'm back to my health. I'm back to my understanding. I'm back to the great things. I'm back to all of these things. And I will continue to do this, hopefully helping you. And for those of you who have been disappointed, I'm glad you have taken me off of your pedestal. For those of you who have gotten angry and you think different of me now, I'm glad I have gotten off of your pedestal. I hope that you have enough spirituality about you that you can walk together now and be a friend and walk together, not as inferior and superior. Just walk together. I don't care where you're at politically. I don't care where you're at spiritually. I don't care if you believe I'm rich or I'm poor. I don't care. I'm just doing what the Spirit's telling me to do. For those of you out there that are supporting me, not only through coming and listening and enjoying, but you're sending support so I couldn't do this on my own. I don't have this kind of money. But for those of you that are helping me, it's needed, and thank you. And I appreciate it. I don't call out names because then everybody starts writing them wanting help and wanting this and wanting that because they think you got money. I know you don't. I know every one of you that send money, you're sending it, and I know that it's cutting into your groceries. I know it's cutting into your home life. It's cutting into a lot of things. I appreciate that. I love you for it, and thank you for it, and I will always use it in the very best way possible. So, love, bless.
I will say one thing. The majority of us were born in a different age, the Pisces age. And along with that came certain attributes within our nature, set within our nature. That age is over. We're in the Aquarian Age, and you can't carry over those attributes in your nature into this age and apply it the same way, because what will happen is somebody, when things get rough, somebody will upset you and you'll discover things inside yourself that you'll blame on someone else. Oh, he said that. He did that. We suffered it. All of that is part of a past age, and you have to turn it loose. You have to get rid of it, and you have to understand this is the Aquarian Age. And to survive in this age, to progress in this age, you're going to have to change your nature. You're going to have to change your thinking. If you don't, you're not going to be just discontent. You're going to wind up miserable.
That's right.
You got to change. If there's one thing about yourself that you cannot change, you're not there yet. You should be able to change everything in one day, and then the very next day get up and change everything again, and do that day after day after day.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this age is about. And if you can't do that, you need to go back to school and start teaching yourself. You got things to work out.
Yes.
Everybody liked it.
Yes.
Especially when you made that one comment, everybody said, yeah, keep going. Don't stop. This is it. I like it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is it.
See?
Keep moving.
Told you.
Yes. Take my hand.
Oh.
Take my life. Lord, I believe. Lord, I receive. In my heart form, Lord Jesus, be my guide. Show me the way, for I'm just a child with a craving for love. Lord, here I am. Take my hand, take my life. Lord, I believe. Lord, I receive. In my heart form, Lord Jesus, be my guide. Show me the way, for I'm just a child with a craving for love. Lord, here I am. Yes. As we're here together, trusting, believing with all of our hearts that we are the Christ, we have an understanding, we have the authority, we have everything in us to bring us to the throne room where there's healing, there's creation, there's understanding, there's all of these things. We have it all within us. In Christ's name, we understand it and walk and believe it. Amen.